To study the weird wonders of the amazing Antarctic.
Antarctica, one of the most brutally cold places in the world.
Antarctica, a land of ice and secrets where the frozen expanse holds untold mysteries and ancient legends. For centuries, humanity has gazed upon its icy shores with wonder and fear, but few have dared to venture beyond the veil of the ice wall that guards its secrets. What secrets did they uncover? And what horrors awaited them beyond the ice wall? Join us on this thrilling adventure as we unveil the first ever footage from beyond the ice wall of Antarctica that terrifies the whole world. Captain Cook, exploring Antarctica. Antarctica holds countless secrets and stories, drawing the attention of numerous explorers and adventure seekers throughout history. These journeys, fueled by a thirst for scientific knowledge and the resilience of the human spirit, have pushed the boundaries of what we know, uncovering the hidden details of this distant and harsh environment. One of the earliest and most remarkable journeys to Antarctica was led by Captain James Cook in the 1700s. Cook, a legendary figure in sea exploration, rose from humble beginnings in Yorkshire, England, to become one of the foremost navigators and map-makers of his time. His unparalleled talent for navigation and map-making, combined with his insatiable curiosity, propelled him on groundbreaking sea adventures. Cook's first major sea journey occurred between 1768 and 1771 aboard the HMS Endeavour. The main objectives were to observe the transit of Venus across the Sun and to explore the vast Pacific Ocean. This journey was significant because Cook's discoveries advanced our understanding of global geography and maritime travel, influencing future explorations, including those in the icy waters near Antarctica. From 1772 to 1775, Cook embarked on his second journey aboard the HMS Resolution and the HMS Adventure. His goal was to locate Terra Australis Incognita, the mysterious unknown southern land. Although his ships sailed close to the Antarctic Circle and covered a large area of the Southern Ocean, Antarctica itself remained unseen. Cook's third journey, spanning from 1776 to 1779, saw him commanding the HMS Resolution and accompanied by the HMS Discovery. This expedition aimed to discover a passage linking the Pacific and Atlantic Oceans in the Northern Hemisphere. Despite focusing on exploring the northern waters, Cook's detailed maps and records from his journeys proved invaluable, even though he never set foot on Antarctic soil. Their assistance extended not only to him, but also to many explorers who followed in his footsteps, navigating the perilous waters and icy landscapes of the world's southernmost regions. While Cook's voyages are renowned for their contributions to our understanding of global geography and maritime routes, it's essential to acknowledge a lesser-discussed aspect of his life: his faith. Cook's achievements are often discussed without mentioning his Christian beliefs. However, it's intriguing to note that he sought insights from the Bible for understanding ocean currents and navigation techniques. These references weren't merely minor details, they were central to his approach to each expedition, shaping his understanding and guiding his actions. Clark Ross, conquering the poles. James Clark Ross, born on April 15, 1800 in London, was an adventurous British Navy officer and explorer. His expeditions, which took him to the farthest reaches of the Arctic and Antarctic, were like thrilling chapters in a daring tale. Ross's fascination with icy lands began in the early 1800s when he joined his uncle John Ross on a trip to the Arctic in 1818. They sailed on the Isabella, hoping to find a hidden path through the ice. Even though they didn't succeed, Ross became really interested in the Arctic. Over the next few years, he went on 4 more trips with William Edward Parry, where he studied magnets and nature. During this time, he became good friends with Francis Crozier, who would later be his trusted second-in-command. In 1829, Ross got to sail with his Uncle John again, this time on his second Arctic journey. It was on this trip that Ross's team found the spot where the North Magnetic Pole was in Canada on June 1st, 1831. With immense pride, Ross personally planted the British flag at this historic spot. Additionally, he carefully mapped the Beaufort Islands, later renamed Clarence Islands in honor of his uncle. After coming back, Ross took on the role of supernumerary commander of HMS Victory in Portsmouth for a year. His hard work and skill were noticed, and on October 28th, 1834, he was promoted to the rank of captain. In December 1835, when 11 whaling ships got stuck in Baffin Bay, Ross offered to help the Admiralty. They agreed, and in January 1836, he sailed in HMS Cove to bring supplies to the stranded ships. Despite the dangerous conditions, Ross and his crew kept going, reaching the last known location of the whalers in June. Sadly, all but one of the ships had made it back home, leaving no sign of the William Tor, another vessel commissioned by Ross to search for the whalers, which was probably crushed by the ice. But Ross's mission wasn't a failure. He safely returned to Hull in September 1836 with his crew in good health, showing his resilience and determination. These early adventures ignited his love for exploration and laid the groundwork for his own incredible journey to Antarctica from 1839 to 1843. Setting sail from England in September 1839 aboard the HMS Erebus and HMS Terror, Ross embarked on a mission to unlock the secrets of the southernmost parts of the world. His main goal, to find the magnetic South Pole and uncover the unknown territories of Antarctica. Braving dangerous waters, Ross and his crew first reached the Boothia Peninsula in the Arctic, where they triumphantly located the North Magnetic Pole. This achievement greatly advanced our understanding of Earth's magnetic field. Undeterred by challenges, Ross pressed on, crossing Baffin Bay and navigating the Bering Strait as they journeyed deeper into Antarctica. Along the way, they made significant discoveries, such as sighting the eastern coast of the Antarctic Peninsula, which they named Graham Land, after Sir James Graham, the first Lord of the Admiralty. Ross also made history by becoming the first person to cross the Antarctic Circle and discover the Ross Sea, named in honor of his uncle, John Ross. His Antarctic expedition was proof of his bravery, determination, and scientific prowess, leaving an enduring mark on exploration history. During their expedition, Ross and his crew faced tough challenges like bad weather, rough terrain, and being far from other people, but they didn't give up. They bravely explored and mapped new lands that no one had been to before, like Somerset Island, Port Leopold, Peel Sound, and the Wellington Channel. Their scientific studies and observations made a big difference in what we know about Antarctica, its animals, plants, and rocks. Ross's trip to Antarctica changed the world. His discoveries and scientific work helped us learn more about Earth's magnetic field and gave us a better picture of Antarctica. It also paved the way for more adventures in the future. Ross's legacy as a bold explorer and dedicated scientist still inspires people today, making them curious and pushing them to learn more. John Bisco's adventures. At the age of 36, John Bisco, a former Royal Navy seaman, found employment with the Enderby brothers, a firm with a rich history intertwined with the events of the Boston Tea Party and the American War of Independence. Seeking new opportunities, the company transitioned from trading tea to the risky ventures of whaling and sealing. The Enderby tradition blended exploration with exploitation, hiring educated captains with naval experience to gather plants and animals from distant lands. Although this approach eventually led to the company's downfall, it left a lasting mark on Antarctic exploration. Bisco's mission was to discover new sealing grounds and explore the uncharted regions of the high southern latitudes. He set sail from England in July 1830 aboard the Tula and the smaller Lively, both sparsely equipped and manned by 29 crew members. Progress was slow, often at a mere 3 knots or less, but by January 1831, they had crossed the Antarctic Circle. On January 28th, they reached their farthest point south at a latitude of 69 degrees south of the equator and a longitude of 10 degrees and 43 minutes east of the prime meridian. Bisco pushed even further south than Bellingshausen, sighting land on February 28th at a latitude of 66 degrees south of the equator and a longitude of 47 degrees and 20 minutes east of the prime meridian. Unfortunately, adverse weather conditions and crew sickness forced Bisco to abandon further exploration and head north. Separated from his ship during a storm on March 3rd, Bisco and his crew faced treacherous conditions and dwindling provisions. When Tula finally reached Hobart, only Bisco and 4 others were able to stand, with 2 crew members having succumbed to illness. Despite the challenges, Bisco's voyage contributed to the mapping and exploration of the Antarctic region, leaving behind a legacy of bravery and determination. On September 3rd, Bisco and Tula set out southward once more. As they departed from port, they encountered Lively at the mouth of the River Derwent. The crew of Lively had a terrifying story to share. 7 out of 10 crew members had perished, and the survivors had been stranded in Port Phillip Bay, now Melbourne, when the ship drifted away while they were gathering supplies ashore. It took weeks to retrieve and refloat the ship. Undeterred by this ordeal, the 2 vessels continued their journey southeast in October. After some unsuccessful sealing in New Zealand, they veered slightly southeast, crossing paths with Captain Cook and stumbling upon an island. Bisco named it Adelaide Island in honor of Queen Adelaide, wife of William IV of England. By late February, they reached the South Shetland Islands, completing a circumnavigation of Antarctica and confirming the existence of a vast continent beneath the ice. Bisco was convinced of its size, having observed an extent of 300 miles. Although Bisco aimed to find seals before winter, his efforts were fruitless, and Tula's rudder suffered damage in a late storm. He retreated to the Falkland Islands, where Lively met its demise. Despite his desire for another season in Patagonia to salvage the voyage financially, his crew gradually deserted him. Tula, worn and weary, arrived in London on February 8, 1833, with only 30 seal skins to show for a 30-month voyage. Bisco's contributions were recognized with a gold medal from the Royal Geographical Society. He later captained ships in the West Indies and around Australia, venturing as far south on a whaling expedition from Sydney in 1838. In 1842, a public appeal in Tasmania raised funds to send him back to England, but tragically, he passed away during the voyage. Adrien Deash's Antarctic Odyssey. During the late 19th century, Antarctica remained largely unexplored and shrouded in mystery due to limited knowledge about the continent. However, some information began to surface, thanks to the efforts of explorers like German sailor Eduard Dahlmann, who reached the eastern coast of the Antarctic Peninsula aboard the ship Greenland in the 1870s. Similarly, Norwegian Carl Larsen explored Graham Land, another part of the Antarctic Peninsula, aboard the Jason ship. Although these expeditions provided some insights into the unknown territory of Antarctica, the available data was still inadequate. Despite the challenges posed by the limited knowledge, a young Belgian naval officer named Adrien Victor Joseph, also known as Adrien Deash, spearheaded the first Belgian Antarctic scientific expedition with the support of the Brussels Geographical Society. The primary goal was to explore the Antarctic Peninsula and map out the previously uncharted regions. Deash relied on the map created by Friedrichsen, a doctor who worked at the Hamburg Geographical Society, and utilized the observations and materials gathered by Dahlmann and Larsen. This map served as a crucial reference point for planning the expedition, despite its limitations. Setting sail aboard the Belgica from Antwerp on August 16, 1879, Deash and his international crew embarked on their journey. The crew included 2 legendary polar explorers, Frederick Cook and Roald Amundsen. By December, they reached Punta Arenas. However, Deash's decision to explore Tierra del Fuego delayed their arrival near the Antarctic Peninsula until late January, dangerously close to the end of summer. On February 15th, they crossed the Antarctic Circle and encountered pack ice. Despite the risks, Deash ventured too far into the ice and the Belgica became trapped. Unfortunately, they were ill-prepared for a prolonged stay in Antarctica. They lacked adequate cold weather clothing, possessing only 4 sets, and had insufficient food supplies, which could sustain them for only about a year, while the ice could potentially hold them captive for 2 years or more. Amidst the darkness of an unexpected winter, the crew found themselves engulfed in a cloud of uncertainty that soon turned into frustration, panic, anger, and even madness. Depression became a common companion among the sailors, with 2 of them losing their grip on reality completely. Sadly, one of them never recovered, and even the ship's cat displayed odd behavior before meeting its demise. In an attempt to maintain order, the crew adopted a routine outlined by Frederick in his book, Through the First Antarctic Night. They rose at 7:30 a.m., enjoyed their morning coffee at 8, engaged in outdoor exercises from 9 to 10, followed by scientific tasks until noon. After a hearty dinner from 12 to 2 p.m., they rested or entertained themselves until 4 p.m., when official duties resumed. Evenings were spent with supper at 6. Followed by card games, music, repairs, and occasional excursions on moonlit nights until bedtime at 10. Despite their efforts to stay occupied, the lack of fresh food supplies led to scurvy outbreaks among the crew. Without intervention, this disease would likely have claimed the lives of all on board. Frederick and Amundsen recognized the significance of fresh meat in preventing scurvy, so they stockpiled seal and penguin carcasses in the ice before the wildlife vanished with the onset of winter. Frederick gleaned from his interactions with the Inuit people that scurvy, resulting from a deficiency in vitamin C, stemmed from a dietary inadequacy worsened by cooking. With support from Amundsen, Frederick proposed to de Gerlache that everyone on board should consume fresh penguin and seal meat daily as it contained vitamin C, though this fact was unknown at the time. However, de Gerlache, harboring a personal distaste for the taste, likely due to poor preparation by the cook, dismissed the suggestion and prohibited his crew from partaking. Yet, when both de Gerlache and Lecointe fell victim to scurvy, the two Arctic veterans assumed control. Despite de Gerlache's resistance, Frederick managed to prescribe the meat as a form of medicine rather than mere sustenance by late winter. Those who adhered to the advice experienced immediate improvement. Captain Georges Lecointe noted, "I am not dead. The coma I fell into yesterday didn't last long. After eating a piece of penguin meat, I woke up feeling much stronger." To err on the side of caution, Lecointe continued to consume penguin meat daily until they departed Antarctic waters. At first, Amundsen battled scurvy, but with Frederick's guidance, he bounced back. The Norwegian played a crucial role in revitalizing the Belgica's crew by hunting fresh meat. 6 seals with thick layers of fat emerged near the ship yesterday morning. Their significance speaks for itself. Amundsen appeared to be the sole enthusiast for Antarctic cuisine. "Penguin meat tastes delightful," he remarked, "but it's essential to trim off all the fat. No need for vinegar. Just cook it with a bit of butter." He even enjoyed some of it raw. While an emperor penguin, weighing up to 90 pounds, could feed 25 men, Amundsen favored the tender meat of the smaller Adélie, weighing 14 pounds. Thanks partly to Frederick's guidance, Amundsen's later expeditions to both poles remained free of scurvy, a feat few early explorers could boast. Triumphs and trials. By the end of July, the crew's diet consisted mainly of penguin meat, leading to a noticeable improvement in their health. De Gerlache, initially hesitant, eventually agreed to the regimen and experienced recovery last. To encourage the crew to gather penguins for food, rewards were offered. 1 franc for live birds and 50 centimes for dead ones. Surprisingly, this task proved effortless. In their final months, the crew discovered a unique method of attracting both penguins and seals to the ship, playing a tune on their cornet. As their situation grew dire, the crew devised a daring plan to escape the ice by blasting a trench to open water. Despite initial success, the trench closed overnight, plunging them into despair. Fortunately, it reopened, allowing them to reach a small area of open water. However, they remained surrounded by ice, with 11 kilometers separating them from freedom as another winter approached. Weeks passed as they drifted in the confined space of open water. Then, miraculously, a path through the ice formed directly towards them. Seizing the opportunity, they navigated to freedom on March 14, 1899, finally returning to Norway with joyous relief in November of the same year. In a twist of fate that could have been disastrous for the expedition, Frederick Cook spent a freezing midwinter night alone, away from the safety of the ship, to observe the stars from his sleeping bag. Despite his precautions, his hair froze to the hood of his bag, yet he managed to avoid a potentially dire outcome. Upon returning to the ship at dawn, he made a surprising discovery. I learned that Lecointe, unaware of my presence on the ice, mistook me for a seal and was waiting for better light to take a shot with his rifle. The Belgica expedition marked the first time a group of humans had wintered in Antarctic waters, leading to significant scientific discoveries. As history tells us, Amundsen later gained renown as the first person to reach the South Pole, while Frederick, despite being hailed as the expedition's hero, would go on to falsely claim numerous achievements, including being the first to climb Mount McKinley, the highest mountain in North America, and reaching the North Pole. However, his later years were marred by legal troubles, as he was imprisoned for mail fraud from 1923 to 1929. Despite his struggles, he received a presidential pardon in 1940, but passed away later that year. Now it's time for today's subscriber pick. In a groundbreaking expedition, a team of fearless explorers ventured beyond the fabled Ice Wall of Antarctica, armed with state-of-the-art cameras to document the uncharted territory beyond. As they pressed deeper into the unknown, their anticipation mingled with fear, for legends whispered of ancient secrets and primordial terrors lurking beyond the ice's edge. With bated breath, the world awaited the first glimpse of what lay beyond. When it was finally revealed, the first ever footage from beyond the ice wall of Antarctica terrified the whole world. The cameras captured sprawling landscapes of desolation, where jagged peaks of ice loomed like frozen sentinels over a barren wasteland. But it was not the stark beauty of the landscape that sent shivers down the spines of viewers. It was what moved within it. Monstrous shapes slithered and lurched through the icy plains, their grotesque forms twisting and contorting in unnatural ways. Some speculated they were ancient beings, awakened from eons of slumber by the intrusion of humanity into their realm. Others whispered of government cover-ups and alien invasions. As the footage spread like wildfire across the globe, fear gripped the hearts of nations. The once uncharted territories of Antarctica now held the world in a vice of terror, and the question lingered: what other horrors lay hidden beyond the ice wall? Admiral Bird, pioneer of Antarctic exploration. The tale of Antarctica took an exciting turn thanks to airplanes instead of ships, and this shift was closely tied to Richard Evelyn Bird, also known as Admiral Bird. Born on October 25, 1888, in Winchester, Virginia, he grew up to become an American naval officer and a pioneer in aviation and polar exploration, especially in Antarctica. Bird's fascination with the unknown began early in his life, drawing him to the Earth's poles and earning him admiration worldwide. He embarked on his aviation journey at the United States Naval Academy, graduating in 1912. There, he became a prominent figure in naval aviation, devising new navigation methods and flying missions during World War I. After the war, Bird's attention turned to the icy realms of the South Pole. His first significant Antarctic adventure occurred between 1928 and 1930, known as the First Bird Antarctic Expedition. During this expedition, he established Little America, a base on the Ross Ice Shelf, from which he flew over Antarctica, collecting data and mapping the land. Bird's aerial exploration of Antarctica provided valuable insights into this frozen landscape and paved the way for future expeditions. His next major journey, the Second Bird Antarctic Expedition from 1933 to 1935, further enhanced his fame. On one of his expeditions, Bird flew over the South Pole in the Floyd Bennett airplane, marking a historic moment as the first person to do so. This flight catapulted him to fame and solidified his status as a legendary explorer. Antarctica, the icy continent at the bottom of the world, is surrounded by frozen seas and experiences much colder temperatures than the Arctic. But Bird's adventures were far from over. He led another significant mission, the United States Antarctic Service Expedition from 1939 to 1941. With years of polar experience behind him, Bird aimed not only to explore but also to conduct scientific research in areas such as weather, rocks, ice, animal life, and the sea, while also mapping uncharted territories of Antarctica. His team also focused on improving equipment, vehicles, and ways to survive in the extreme cold, setting standards for future explorers venturing into the icy wilderness. From 1946 to 1947, Bird spearheaded Operation High Jump, a colossal endeavor orchestrated by the United States Navy. It stood as the most extensive Antarctic mission of its time. The mission had several goals: studying the area, establishing research stations, testing military equipment in the cold, and demonstrating American presence in Antarctica. Following World War II, Operation High Jump showcased a remarkable display of resources. The expedition involved numerous ships, planes, and over 4,000 people, including military personnel, scientists, and support staff. The fleet boasted an impressive array of vessels, including an aircraft carrier, seaplane tenders, helicopters, cargo ships, and more. The operation sparked intriguing stories, partly due to the sheer military force exhibited in such a remote location. This display of strength led to rumors, including speculation about the possibility of German forces still being active in Antarctica. This stemmed from their own expeditions in the late 1930s aimed at mapping and exploring the continent. Although the war disrupted much of this activity, leaving little evidence, speculation about German operations and their alleged secret technologies in Antarctica persists. Bird himself has been the subject of various debates and theories, especially concerning his statements and experiences in Antarctica. Unlike typical conspiracy theories, some of these stories originate directly from Bird. In an interview on the TV program Longines Chronoscope, Bird shared his experiences and observations. In the show, Frank Knight introduced Bird, highlighting his status as a prominent explorer who opened new frontiers in both the Arctic and Antarctic regions. Bird discussed the remaining unexplored territories on Earth, particularly an area as vast as the United States. He also touched on the potential presence of uranium in Antarctica, suggesting its practicality as a resource worth pursuing in the future. Beyond the South Pole lies an untouched and unseen land, mysterious and peculiar, Bird revealed. He continued, "You see, you can't easily access the interior of Antarctica where we were. At the South Pole, there's a lot of scientific research happening, exploring the secrets of this icy realm. This revelation hints at the vast mysteries that Antarctica still hides, suggesting there's so much more to discover in terms of both resources and knowledge." Bird's words imply that people worldwide are captivated by these hidden treasures, and that Antarctica remains an irresistible destination for adventurers and nations alike. The Antarctic Treaty. The interview with Bird on the Longines Chronoscope aired on December 8, 1954, just shy of 5 years before a significant international agreement, the Antarctic Treaty, was signed on December 1, 1959. This treaty marked a crucial moment in how countries could engage with Antarctica, hailed as a shining example of global cooperation. The key objectives of the treaty aim to promote peace, support scientific exploration, and safeguard Antarctica's unique environment. It explicitly stated that Antarctica should be utilized solely for peaceful purposes, prohibiting any military activities, the establishment of bases, or weapon testing in the region. Instead, it encouraged nations to collaborate on scientific research, freely sharing their discoveries with the world. Moreover, the treaty established guidelines to protect Antarctica's delicate ecosystem, imposing regulations against activities that could harm the environment, such as pollution or improper waste disposal. It also mandated regular meetings among signatory countries to govern Antarctica, plan scientific endeavors, and ensure environmental conservation. Initially signed by Argentina, Australia, Chile, France, New Zealand, Norway, and the United Kingdom, the treaty was enacted in 1961. Over time, it has garnered the support of many more nations, with the current total standing at 56. The Antarctic Treaty's regulations have significantly restricted private expeditions to the continent without official permission, making such endeavors illegal and subject to penalties. This marks a departure from the earlier perspectives shared by Bird and the Longines Chronoscope hosts, as the treaty now limits Antarctic exploration to those with the necessary resources and approval. Consequently, access for the general public is primarily through expensive tourist cruises, offering only brief and limited glimpses of the continent's edges. The United Nations played a crucial role in establishing the treaty, reflecting its broader mission to promote peace, cooperation, and development worldwide. Formed in 1945 after World War II, the UN emblem provides insights into its values and objectives. Featuring a laurel wreath symbolizing victory and peace encircling a world map, the emblem signifies a dedication to global unity and collaboration. However, interpretations of the emblem vary, with some perceiving the wreath as a symbol of control or limitation, representing the boundaries of human influence and governance. Which of these adventurous explorations do you find most captivating? Let us know your opinion in the comments below.